All right. And I'm going to let everyone in 3, 2, 1.
Hi.
There we go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, it's
Happy
time
hour.
for the LinkedIn happy hour.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We can even wait a few minutes for a few more to join in.
Yeah, we'll wait for a few more. Get your wine. Join us.
Get your glass because I have the wine and the aerators
There we
already.
go. And you just wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if we could just like pour from the camera right into our
In
glasses?
a couple of years, we'll probably be able to.
Of course, then it would make it hard for social distancing.
Well, we are social distancing, which is good.
Exactly. Well, I think we've got a lot of people signed on already, so why don't you take it away?
Thank you. Beautiful Forever is honored to be here with you, Vivica, and for How Beautiful Forever University sponsoring our first of two LinkedIn. Oh my God, videos. Very exciting.
I know.
Let's start the conversation. Why LinkedIn? How did you figure out, Cheryl, LinkedIn out of all the social media that's out there? I'm not talking about TikTok radio and everything else, but the first thing that Vivica and I came up with is how many people do you think are on LinkedIn? I wish we would have created this in a poll, but we didn't. You know what? Whatever number you think, it's wrong. I'm sorry. 650 million. It's amazing. The numbers are staggering. When I heard those numbers, I was like, wow. So when was the last time you looked up yourself on LinkedIn? I spoke to 4 people today who said, I think I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not sure. I said, well, why don't you go on and check? And most people set up profiles and I haven't looked for years. And the truth is, it's free. Doesn't cost anything to go onto LinkedIn or set up your profile, which is what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. My focus in my business at Beautiful Forever Consulting is med spas, aesthetics, wellness, anti-aging, but this is across the board in any industry. And when I looked up the industry that I am in for 35 years to see that there were 3,226 companies with the names Medi Spa or Medical Spa or Aesthetic Medical in their name. 3,226, I was almost embarrassed. I mean, it was crazy because there was over 7 million people on LinkedIn in health and wellness industries. So it doesn't make sense. But LinkedIn, and why is it important to your practice? And that's what we need to talk about today, and how Google is intertwined with LinkedIn, because a lot of people really don't understand that positioning and what buyers are on LinkedIn and how is it going to help my med spas, my doctors, my aesthetic centers for people to buy. So now is a time really to take out the magnifying glass. As I've been saying, it's a time where we're all at home. We have a lot of extra time and to set up your LinkedIn and start today. It's nothing like starting today, even if you just start with 5 minutes today and every day, just give it 5 minutes. And then hopefully we'll be out of this mess and everybody will be back at work.
Exactly. So, there's no better time, right?
Absolutely. So Vivica, I guess, what's important in the aesthetic wellness industry and why should the providers and the owners and the estheticians and the nurses that I deal with every day, right, why should they be on LinkedIn? And I guess you're the best one to ask that question.
Well, thank you. So first of all, what I would love to know from the audience is how many people are on LinkedIn. So I just launched a poll. Hopefully you'll see that. And let me know in that poll, are you on LinkedIn? Are you not on LinkedIn? Are you not sure if you're on LinkedIn or not? So let's take a few seconds here and hopefully get everybody to contribute. Let me know. It's about 50-50, yes or no right now.
Oh, no, I think it's more like 60.
And now we got a couple more no's going in there.
I feel like it's politics, but it's not.
I know, right? Let's get a few more people giving us an answer. Let me know. Are you on LinkedIn? Yes or no? And it's okay if you're not. It's okay if you're not. That's why we're on this training today, right?
And how many people are not sure they're on LinkedIn?
Exactly. So far, it looks like you know or you don't know. So I'll go ahead and end this poll. Not everyone voted, I'm just saying, but I'll go ahead and end this poll. And it looks like we've got a few more people who are not on LinkedIn. So I'm grateful you're here today, and hopefully we'll convince you that it's a really important place to be, because, you know, as, oh, here we got another person trying to get in. As Cheryl was saying, you know, there are 650 million users on LinkedIn. You've already got competition on LinkedIn. You've got a lot of companies, Medi Spas, aesthetic practices, and who are already on LinkedIn, who over 3,000 people have already established a company page on LinkedIn. But more important than that, more important than the fact that your competitors are on LinkedIn, your patients are on LinkedIn, professional men, professional women, and they can afford your services and they can afford your product. And that's really what makes, oops, try that again. That's really what makes such a difference, is that, you know, this is where your audience is. Yes, is your audience on Facebook? Probably. You know, is your audience on Instagram? Yeah, I would guess that they are there too. TikTok, maybe. But here's the thing, on LinkedIn, it's the right type of audience, and they can actually afford you. And that's what's, you know, that I think is what's most important. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here.
Well, we already see the poll on there, and it's covering.
Yeah, the poll should be off by now, but I guess it's not.
And I know you
So
did a great job on your makeup, and now it's all covered up.
is the poll should be off. Is the poll off?
The poll is still there.
Poll is still there. All right. Well, let's see. Why is the poll still there? Here, I'm going to share the screen in the meantime. Here we are.
Poll is still there.
Poll
Okay.
still there. All right. Let's try this. Polling.
We have a little bit of everything. Okay. We have a full screen of everything.
Yeah, I got a full screen. My poll. I'm going to X out of the poll. There we go. How's that? Hopefully not seeing the poll still.
No,
all right.
There. But okay, it's maybe because I see it. But in the cosmetic Medi Spa practices, how would it help them to create a stronger brand? And how does it affect their employees and their staff? And should they be on as well and linking into a business or a name? I think it's important to mention, like I have a Cheryl Whitman and I have a Beautiful Forever. And then the Beautiful Forever University that's sponsoring this is actually part of my Beautiful Forever company. So how does that work with the rest of the businesses that are out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, yes, your employees should each have their own brand, because the fact is, if I were to Google Beautiful Forever, you know, or actually I will Google it. If I were to write Beautiful Forever in a search on LinkedIn, a bunch of different results are going to show up, right? So you want to make sure that it's your company page that's showing up, and that you, as, which for you it is, thankfully, your company page is the first one that shows up here. But also, you know, that your people, when their people are searching on company names or spa names or practice names, that your people are representing your company as best as possible. Because a lot of times people think, like many people on the call, well, you know, no one's going to look for me online. No one's going to look for me at, my spa online or on LinkedIn rather, but they are. And if your company is not well branded, and if you as an individual aren't well branded to your company, it really costs a little bit. You know, it might cost you business. And what I wanted to show earlier is, you know, even Google and LinkedIn have this weird relationship. So if I was looking for a LinkedIn expert on Google, right? Not LinkedIn, but on Google.
See the poll. Okay.
Because of the way that I've, and we got 2 more people wanting to come in. We'll let them in too. Welcome, welcome. So if I were to Google, you know, LinkedIn expert, I'm looking for a LinkedIn expert. Here's my profile. It's one of the first things that shows up. And so it shows up before my company, Vengresso. It shows up before any other content about me shows up. My LinkedIn profile shows up. And so that's one of the main reasons that I would really encourage you to create your brand, both your company brand and your personal brand on LinkedIn, is because if there's anything there and it's showing on Google and your brand itself isn't standing out and you don't look good, then it could very well cost you business on a social network that is absolutely full of your ideal buyers. And if you have any questions, by the way, there's a little chat, and I'll just say hey to everyone who just came in. So it'll hopefully light up and you can see it. But if you have any questions about anything, I mention or anything that Cheryl mentions today, by all means, go ahead and pop that into the chat. So to answer your question, Cheryl, why should people be on LinkedIn? Because Google and LinkedIn have this relationship, and we got to make sure that you're well branded and well represented everywhere. The other reason is if you have a professional and they're on LinkedIn and they want to research you before they go, before they go to your spa, if they look for you on LinkedIn and you're not there, that can also cost you because they're already on LinkedIn. It's going to be natural for them to come up here and, and look. So I want to, I want to attend Beautiful Forever University. I know Cheryl Whitman's, the CEO of that. So I'm going to go check her out. And if I went to her company page or to her personal profile and it looked awful, which it doesn't, it looks fabulous.
Thank God for photography.
Here's the thing though. Okay. And so this is another thing when it comes to your brand, especially in this industry, you have got to look like your picture. So we'll talk about different ways that you can brand. So let's use Cheryl as an example. Cheryl looks like her picture. You're not quite wearing the same shirt, but almost, so when I know we're not meeting people face to face right now, there are people, well, I guess in Georgia tomorrow, but for the rest of the world, we're staying at home. We might be having to transition our businesses to be more online. We're probably relying very much on selling products right now. But when we go back to doing face-to-face, if someone researches you first on LinkedIn, and this of course goes for Facebook and Instagram too, and they see a picture of you and then they go to meet you face-to-face, and it's like, this was clearly taken in, 1980, there becomes a level of disconnect there. So I would encourage everybody, get a picture of yourself up on all your socials, not just LinkedIn, but on all your socials, if you're engaging with your audience there, that actually looks like you, because otherwise, there's just so much disconnect there. Now, the other thing I want to talk about when it comes to branding is this banner area right above the top. This is free advertising. When people go to your profile and they look at it, if it's just this, the standard blue background, then you're really missing out on an opportunity to market. And you'll see here, Cheryl's got her phone number right there, right? If Cheryl is interested in, or if someone is interested in Beautiful Forever, in calling Cheryl to get her, consulting, to figure out what they can do to change their business model during these crazy times, if her number's right there, you can call her right now. You don't have to scroll down. You don't have to try and find her number somewhere else. You don't even have to invite her to connect. You can just call her. So I think it is so important for everybody, when you're creating a background image, to put your contact information on there, put your logo on there, get your branding on there. This is free advertising. And if you're graphically impaired like I am, one of the great tools that you can use is just Canva. Just go to canva.com, and I'll put that into chat for everybody. Go to canva.com and look for, there we go, look for LinkedIn background images, and they'll actually give you templates where you can start to build a background image. So you would just literally go into Canva, go into templates, find what they have for LinkedIn,
Perfect.
customize it a little bit, and you're good to go. So it's just that easy. Let's see if we can find it super quick.
Well,
Obviously, they like face.
when we talk about time commitment, because everybody's
Yep.
worried, oh, I spend so much time on Facebook, I spend so much time posting pictures on Instagram. How much time is this going to take me?
Exactly. So the nice thing is when you're first building your LinkedIn profile, it might be maybe an hour to 2 hour time commitment to get things up really quickly. Like I said, just go to canva.com. I'll also give you guys another resource, vengressobanner.com. Here, I just added Vengresso Banner. That's actually going to give you the dimensions for the background if you're a little bit more graphically inclined. But, you know, I don't know how long it'll take you to create that background image. Some of you 2 minutes, some of you 2 hours. But once you've got it, it's really easy to upload. I'll show you all how to do that. You're going to add a recent picture of yourself. You're going to put your name in there. You're going to write down who you help and how you help them. By default, it's going to say, you know, your title at your company, but that's boring and no one cares. They really want to know how you can help them. So you can see what Cheryl's done here, offering marketing, business strategy, development, business plans, and training for aesthetic, medical spas, and practices. Boom. So you're going to want to take that headline section and customize it. So that's going to take you another couple minutes. Probably the most time consuming thing will be writing your about section. This is 2,000 characters where you go into more depth about how you can help your patients. And here's the thing. You probably already have something written on your website. So I would take that as your base, but then know who your buyer is on LinkedIn, right? You want to know who your buyer is on LinkedIn, and you want to speak specifically to them. So are you a woman in your 40s and 50s, or are you a professional woman in your 40s and 50s who leads a team of millennials? Are you concerned about how you are perceived? We totally get it. At our spa, we help women like you with blah, 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 which helps them feel more confident so that when you go into your workspace, you can be your best you, or something like that. Totally made that up. But you know who your audience, maybe it's professional men, right? Maybe it is the millennials, but think about the people who spend the most money at your spa, and you can probably see a picture of them in your head, right? And that becomes your buyer persona. And that's who you're writing this profile for, as if you were speaking to them. What are their points of pain and how do you solve it? And maybe give a few examples of that. And what's cool is LinkedIn now has this featured section, which is great for before and after photos. So that would be the other thing I would recommend adding, which as long as you've got them already, it's just a matter of popping them in there. Before and after photos, be aware of HIPAA. So this is considered marketing. So you just, whatever's safe to show at your salon or at your Medi Spa rather is probably safe to show on LinkedIn, but you can use that. And this can just be a carousel of before and after pictures of people that you've helped. So again, me as a woman in my, a little older than 40s, but as a professional woman who's wanting to look my best, who's wanting to, who speaks in front of crowds all the time, I want to see what you can do for, the spots on my skin and the droopy this and the lines here, right? And so show that. And then the other thing is you'll want to just take the About Us section or the About Us from your website and just pop it in here. That's fine. And maybe some more images. But all of that is probably going to take less than an hour.
And then my other question is, what about selling product? If they want to promote a product or a product line, people think you can't do it. You can. And I think there's a right way and wrong way, because it's not Facebook where they just post and sell and sell. This to me is much more of a professional high level network. Yeah. And you have to do it, in my thinking more of an educational, maybe blog post, maybe article, informational, not just like, oh, buy this eye cream now because it'll get rid of your wrinkles.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. And if you just start throwing a bunch of, I'll just pull up my timeline. If you start throwing a bunch of buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, you're right. You're not going to get a lot of engagement and you're going to go, well, LinkedIn doesn't work. But if you're thoughtful about the content that you post, and to Cheryl's point, if you are going to take the time to describe, again, you describe your buyer persona, address their points of pain, talk about, what they can do, not just with your product, but what are some lifestyle changes that they can make? What are some, excuse me, what are some lifestyle changes that they can make? What are some activities that they can put in, into their day? And by the way, we found that this product helps too. Of course, if you've got influencers who are using your product and talking about your product, have them share on their LinkedIn, and then of course tag you in it. And that's another reason you want to be on LinkedIn, so you can actually be tagged. So that's just like what you would do on Facebook or Twitter or Insta. You would literally tag or mention the individual that, that's your influencer. So if you've got any influencers, any programs like that you're doing, if they're on LinkedIn, for sure you want them to mention it on their timeline and tag you as well. And you might want to help them a little bit with what the post should look like. We'll talk about that more next week. That's a little bit more of a deep dive, but to topically answer your question, yes, you can absolutely sell on LinkedIn, but it needs to be couched more in the terms of, you're a resource for them. You're a trusted resource for them. And then that way, you start to build advocacy with your patients and with your customers. And then they start talking about you. Again, Instagram, Facebook, it's going to feel more natural, but you can still absolutely do it on LinkedIn too. And I reiterate, for those of you who have joined a little bit later, the reason that you want to be on LinkedIn is because your audience is absolutely there. They can afford to go to your Medi Spa. They can afford to purchase your products. They're not buying their stuff at Walgreens, right? They're investing. They're investing in themselves. And because we're so restricted with what's going on with COVID-19, products are what's going to save us. So now is the time to be creating content that's a little bit more creative, that speaks to the female executive or the male executive who hasn't taken a shower in 2 weeks, whose hair is a bloody mess, and who's like just can't deal with it, right? So you can talk about the necessity of keeping yourself at your prime, because that is the only thing you can control right now. And then of course, and by the way, we can help you do that with. So that's just a couple ideas.
So those ideas are great. So let's get back to basics, since we took a poll and a lot of people are not on LinkedIn or don't know much about LinkedIn. So starting at the beginning, they're on LinkedIn, they really don't have any followers. How do they grow their network slowly? And how do they search for a name? And what name would they be searching for? And who do they start with? I mean, I would think it would be their staff and their family and friends. Right. Tell me.
Yeah. So the first thing before you even start growing your network, make sure your profile looks good. That is a big mistake that people make, because LinkedIn will literally do it for you, right? So as you're building your profile for the first time, it's going to ask you your name. It's going to ask you where you work. It's going to ask you some other questions. And then it's going to ask to connect to your mail account, probably your Gmail account. And then it's going to say, okay, we're going to invite all these people, with your permission, we're going to invite all these people to connect, but don't go there yet. The opportunity for LinkedIn is going to continue to try to feed you connections. I promise you, don't worry about it. So what you need to do first is give LinkedIn the right information so that when it does try to serve up connections for you, that they're actually relevant. And part of that, of course, is building out your profile, your background image, getting a photo that looks like you, doing the headline that describes who you help and how you help them. You know, the about section, which is actually 2,000 characters, which expands upon who you help and how you help them. Media that proves what you're saying is true with before and after pictures, things like that. Your experience section, again, which more closely focuses on your spa, Medi Spa itself, right? So if you fill out those sections, then LinkedIn goes, okay, all right, I see where you're coming from. And then LinkedIn is going to look at the email addresses that you fed it and say, and you always want to go through them one at a time. Don't go, you know, it's going to, you're going to be tempted to do select all, invite all. I know it, but don't do that, because you'll end up like I did, inviting your, you know, ex-fiance to connect and the woman he's sleeping with now on LinkedIn. So don't do that. Take the time to go through your network, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 people a day, and invite them to connect. And the more people that you invite to connect, LinkedIn is going to come up with people you should know. And then, so LinkedIn is going to start serving you potential prospects that you can connect with. And don't just hit the connect button. Always go to their profile first. Let me see if I can. Okay, so here's Bella. Always go to their profile first. Look at their profile. Come on. Come on, Bella. Pop up. So I'm not going to just hit the connect button. I'm going to go to Bella's profile. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to see what she's doing. I'm going to see who we have in common. And then when I invite her to connect, I'm going to customize the invitation. It might say something like, you know, LinkedIn keeps serving you up as someone I should know. And I notice that you know Jeff and Rebecca. And it just looks like we should be connected. And then you invite her to connect. You'd literally just click on the connect button and say, you know, LinkedIn just keeps serving up your profile to me. It looks like we have these people in common, or I see that you lived here, or, you know, I see why they do that because we both worked at wherever at one point. Would love to connect with you. If you don't customize your invitation to connect, it is highly unlikely that people are going to accept your invitation. And they're definitely not going to accept your invitation if they don't know you and you don't have your profile up yet.
And I agree with you, but on the other hand, I disagree with you, because I often get, as you said, LinkedIn feeds you all kind of names. And whether it's somebody who has a new job, somebody whose birthday it is, somebody has an anniversary of some sort, or somebody who you might want to connect with. They do send you lists. And when they do that, you could just press connect, and you don't have to go through the process you're talking about. Just start out, it's probably best. And I do look at everybody that wants to connect. And if it's not somebody I want to be connected with, then I do not connect them. Right. I get a lot of realtors, and there's nothing wrong with realtors. A lot of you resource. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to be bombarded with that. I want to focus on my clients and the people that I want to focus on. So there are easier ways, as we both know. The other thing that we didn't mention was on your website, there should be active links to all your social media. And because we're talking about LinkedIn, make sure that you talk to your webmaster. If you have any questions, you can always email me, and I'm happy to help you with that. But you need a link on your website for your LinkedIn. And that's important. And then when you get on LinkedIn, you might even want to put it on and talk about how excited you are for the webinar today. And now that you're on LinkedIn, you want your Facebook friends to join you. So there's nothing wrong with making a little marketing thing out of, wow, now I'm on LinkedIn. Or when you reach 500 or you reach 5,000, whatever number it is, you can suggest that, talk about it, and people will then connect with you. And then you want people to recommend you. The other way, I thought that a lot of my doctors and providers, they can go to any of the companies that they buy from, whether it's Medicis and Allergan whether they're using equipment from Aerolace or whatever company they're buying equipment, they can go on and they could follow everybody on the list that work in those companies. So that's an easy way too to get more and more people, because your salespeople, the reps out there, they want to connect with you. So if you go in and follow them, or you look for them and you connect, it's an easy way to start your connection process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, yes, thank you for bringing that up. The nice thing about company pages is sometimes when you're looking up an individual, LinkedIn won't show you the results, especially when you're just starting out on LinkedIn, because it doesn't know if you're a spammer or not. So your ability to navigate around LinkedIn until you really build out your profile and you start really connecting with a few people and you start engaging, LinkedIn's going to be like, we're not going to show them everything. But you can always access any company. So to Cheryl's point, like Medisys here, I can look them up just in the search, choose the company page, and then all I have to do is click on see all employees, and LinkedIn is going to feed you those employees, usually according to how you're connected with them or what you might have in common with them. Now, you'll see a lot of this at first, right? LinkedIn member with, the title, because you're too far removed from that individual. But you will also get to see some individuals. And once you start connecting to some of these individuals, now you've got something in common. So these names start to pop up a little bit more. So I know it's frustrating when you start out on LinkedIn and you get a lot of this, but just know that the more that you connect with people on LinkedIn in your industry, the more likely your prospects are to show up. So thank you for pointing that out. That was great, Cheryl.
And I also think that once you start, even if you just drop it and you don't go back to it for several weeks, you'll be shocked when you go in to see how many people are actually following you or found you. And you can go back in at any time and update. You can add in your college and your medical school. You can go in and add any information you want about yourself. So you can just leave it, drop off for a week or two. But I just felt like right now is the time to get started. We do have between Vivica's LinkedIn company and consulting and combination of business strategy planning, a package for you that will be available on Beautiful Forever University. And we are both very passionate about helping our professionals to get higher level, to be able to, here's our LinkedIn happy hour.
There it is.
So this is our first time with Beautiful Forever University aesthetic package, and it's a one-year membership both to Beautiful Forever University and to Vivica's programs as well. And we have ebooks, we have a lot to share. There's Facebook rooms, there's one-on-one consults, and it's very valuable. So we have it at $197, I believe, or $179, $197.
I think $197, and then you've got another one that's $246 that includes a signed copy of your book.
Of my book, correct. The Beautifully Profitable book, and the value is like $800. So it's really a deal. We did it special for this month pretty much because we're here tonight. We'll be back next Friday to get more involved. Write down your questions. When you start setting yourself up, if you have questions, let us know. And I would say just get started. Even if you just start, like Vivica mentioned, with a photograph, some information about your company, grab it off your website. And by doing that, you might even realize your website needs an update. So
exactly. And there was a question. There's actually a question. So let me answer that. And then we were going to wrap up, and Cheryl, I don't know if you've got something right now, but let me answer Joanne's question first. And please join us, to Cheryl's point, please join us same time next week, because we'll be going a little bit more in depth into strategy and how to utilize LinkedIn and how to create content and how to engage with people. But in the meantime, there are no dumb questions, first of all. So one of the questions was, what's a connection? And, of course, I've been doing LinkedIn for 17 years. Right. So a connection is the same thing as a friend on Facebook. Either you've invited them to connect or they've invited you to connect. And the cool thing about connections is it means they can see all of the content that you put out, and they're able to private message you. So similar to what you have on Facebook.
Same as Messenger, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah. So you can see messaging here. That's my ability to private message individuals, and they can private message me. So, and we're going to talk about a lot of really cool things that you can do with messaging on LinkedIn. But to answer your question, Joanne, it's oops, go back there to my network. It's just the ability to send someone an invitation to connect, or to have them send you an invitation and you accept that. And as you can see here, like here's a perfect example. Here are a bunch of people who invited me to connect, but they didn't customize the invitation. Oops. Oh, LinkedIn keeps doing this to me.
Are you really that picky?
I am now, because I'm at, so also you only have 30,000 connections on LinkedIn, and I keep hitting 30,000 and deleting a bunch of people, and hitting 30,000 and deleting a bunch of people. So I'm super picky. But if they don't customize the invitation, I almost never accept an invitation anymore that hasn't been customized, unless they're exactly my buyer persona. So Gary is exactly my buyer persona, meaning he's exactly the type of person who buys my stuff, who buys Vengresso training, right? But there are a bunch of other folks in here who have not customized the invitation. And so, sorry, I'm not going to connect. This is what a customized invitation looks like. So now he's talking a little bit about himself. This is a little bit more of a sales pitch than I would like to see, but hey, at least he customized the invitation to connect.
And that's another thing. You do find people trying to sell you things, and you will know because it looks like a cut and paste. And I just delete those people totally.
Yeah.
But I think to start by connecting with me, Beautiful Forever, anybody who works with us. I'm not as picky as you are, even though I have thousands of followers. And once you get to 500 or more, it says it stops at 500. It doesn't say how many on my page. 500 plus connections. So we have many more than that. And again, there's times when weeks and months go by, I'm not on. I do check it. And by the way, I do suggest downloading the free app.
Oh yeah, for sure, on your phone.
And keep it on your phone. I have it on my phone, and it really is easy, because if you have a moment of silence, you can just click on, like you would Facebook, on LinkedIn, and see what's happening. Maybe there's a webinar, an article you want to read. Maybe you want to see how many connections you have. And at the beginning, it's very exciting. How many people watch the video? How many people are on my LinkedIn? And then it's kind of gets in your blood. And right now we all have time. So now is the time to get on LinkedIn, get it going, read our books. We can help you if you want to help yourself. And get your staff involved as well. If you can't do it, you don't have the time to do it, have somebody in your organization helping you to do it. We're there as backbones to help you. We both have companies to help you get set up on this, as well as helping you grow and add new profit centers and get back on your feet quickly when we're all able to go out of our houses and get back to work.
Yeah, exactly. And I just put a link. So if you want to do your own LinkedIn profile, you should get started right away. So I put a link to our ebook right in the chat. It'll take you to this page. You can start reading about it. Eventually, yes, we are going to ask you for your email address. Well, maybe we don't. Maybe we put it all on here. Okay, cool. So it's going to walk you through everything you need to know to build your LinkedIn profile. I actually wrote my second book was my first book was LinkedIn Marketing in Our Day. My second book was LinkedIn 101 Ways to Rock Your Personal Brand. We basically took all the information from my book and turned it into this free ebook. So I definitely, yes, it's focused on sales professionals, but the strategies will absolutely work for everybody. So I can highly recommend that. And then, of course, make sure to check out, well, first of all, connect with Cheryl, because she is the #1 consultant in this space. And if you are concerned about your Medi Spa, your aesthetic practice, especially considering what's going on. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to create it, how to create a virtual offer until such a time as we can meet face to face. Make sure you take advantage of Cheryl, because she's been in this industry for way longer than she looks old enough to be. And she knows the insides and the outsides. You've written what, 2-3 books? I mean, it's just.
The second book is in its 6th edition, and then I have monthly columns as well as monthly articles that are being published. And on the website, beautifulforever.com, there's a lot of very good information. And the Beautiful Forever University, which we're kind of like launching as we're speaking, more and more content will go up, more and more programs will go on, and we're being very cautious on price. We know everybody's very price sensitive now, so we have lowered a lot of the fees and a lot of the prices to be part of our programs, and we really do passionately want to help you. For 35 years, I've been doing it. We're not going to let the virus stop any of us. We're going to keep on going. No way.
No way.
Look forward to seeing you next week. Invite all your friends, even if they're not in aesthetics, they're welcome.
Yes, exactly.
Any business and any person that wants to do more networking.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then you too can have a beautiful LinkedIn profile like Cheryl and use it effectively like she does.
And I thank you, Vivica, very much. And I look forward to next Friday for our happy hour. And any questions, let us know. Beautifulforever.com. If there's questions about the $197 program, which would be a year with you, a year with us. They might get sick of us after a year, but
I know.
but we always have so much good information to feed everybody. So I thank you so much. So maybe we can get my industry now more on board. Yeah, and that would be wonderful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why don't you go ahead and pop your email address so they can, or Lindsay's email address, so they can reach you directly in chat. I'll do the same thing. Or Lindsay, if you can do it for for Cheryl.
I see the chat there, but basically it's info@beautifulforever.com would be fine.
Awesome. I'll pop it in there for you.
Okay. I'll be happy to give you our special price, which is only good, by the way, for a month, and then we will take that down. So it is a special price. And I thank you, Vivica, so much, and I toast to you and everybody who's on today, and I look forward to next Friday at 5 Eastern Time. Have a good one. Thank you.
We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.